Hi, I'm Mike from Trickster Knives, and finally I will be doing some bevel work on the Nomad knife. And I didn't have the chance to work on this in the last week. Oh, it was terrible, but finally I am here. I'm not sure if you can see that. I will move away. There are guidelines right here on the steel blue because I want to have something that I will grind to. So, and there is a guideline right here in the middle of the edge. And I will start with a 40 grit sandpaper. It's right there and it's ready to grind. And the first thing I will do is I will grind to the middle and to the first guideline. And I will move up from this. And I'm not entirely sure how high I will go. I think I will go, those are half centimeters apart. So this is half 1 centimeter, 1.5, 2, 2.5. And I'm not sure how high I will go. I think the bevels will be about 2.3 centimeters high. And yeah, let's go to the belt grinder.
You should first grind to the middle of the cutting edge and to the first mark, and that makes it so that you can later go up with your bevel. And this is the easiest way to do it, especially because I am not using any platens or jigs when I'm grinding, so I'm doing this all freehand. This is a little bit harder than grinding with a jig, but you have to understand my idea behind this. And the idea is that I want to be able to grind long straight bevels that that are very high, and I want to be able to grind them without any help from machinery. This is just my philosophy, and this is the same thing that I did when I was making knives with files, because a lot of people use filing jigs, the devices that allow you to always get a perfect straight bevels when you are grinding with files. I didn't do that, and for the same reason that I'm not grinding with a jig right now. It's because I wanted to be able to do it by hand. This came from the fact that when I saw the knife makers that were the best of the best and that I consider my mentors right now, they were all grinding without a jig, and they were grinding freehand. Great examples of knife makers like that are Walter Sorrells, sorry, or there is a guy named Greg Węgrzycki. He's a knife maker from Poland that is living in New York right now, and he's grinding freehand. At least he was grinding freehand in every video of him I saw. And those are the examples of knife makers that I consider to be, well, my role models, let's call them. So yeah, this is the first grind, and we are getting close to finish. I think I will speed up the rest of the process, because in few seconds we'll go up to the next side. There will be some cuts, and there will be some speed up. I will try to keep the stream of consciousness, and I will try to make this video shorter than, I don't know, 20 minutes. Okay, so now we are grinding the second side of the knife. As you can see, I went a bit higher, and I've cut some of the footage in between. And now I'm using this brass guide on the start of the bevel, which is called a plunge line. And the plunge line is the line that separates the bevel and the ricasso, which is the flat part of the knife. Okay? And this device allows me to grind the plunge lines symmetrically on both sides of the blade. And yeah, this is something that just helps me, and as you can see, I'm not doing long strokes over the whole blade, just like I did in the previous part when I was grinding the first step, so the first guideline, just because I didn't want to screw it up and I was worried that I will. So I first try to grind the straight part of the blade, and then I'm going for the tip that is sweeping up. And this is just easier for me, it's not perfect, and I'm trying to correct that with nice long strokes all over the blade to see if the belt is taking material evenly and if everything is even. And I'm checking constantly if the bevel is relatively straight, and I'm trying to constantly cool down the blade, because the higher we go, the thinner the material is. And here, oh, we swapped to another clip, and this is a clip that I recorded a few days later because I wasn't able to grind this everything at once. I hope that you can see that I'm standing more straight right now. Um, my back was hurting, and this is because I'm scared of the belt grinder, I have to say. I have some experience with grinding with files, and I'm comfortable grinding with files, but when I'm grinding on the belt grinder, then I'm a bit scared that I will take up too much material. And when I do, I'm flexing my muscles and I'm leaning forward or to the sides to see something that I can't see and to see the material being ground. This is not possible, of course, because the material being ground is on the boat at the moment. Um, so yeah, my back was hurting when I was grinding before. The previous footage you saw was about 3 hours of grinding. Or maybe not 3, but at least 2, sorry. And my back was hurting, and I did some more knives that day, and eventually I've had some problems. I've had some problems with belts, and I've had some problems with my back. I've had some problems with electricity in my workshop. Oh, this week was terrible. So I decided to leave that, and now I'm here again, different pants, and I have a long sleeve on me, so no more stay alive shirt. And I'm grinding, and this is, if I can remember correctly, yes I do, this is the last clip on the 40 grit belt, so we will be switching to 80 grit soon. And before we do that, I just have a quick question to all of you guys watching. I'm wondering if I should do the Infinity Knife series in the matter that I go to the concept art and I'm doing the knife from the concept art and I'm going from one to another. So after I finish the Nomad, which will be pretty soon, I will go to probably Hacky Slam knife or the Eugene one. And I have another idea, and the another idea is that in between the knives from Infinity Concept Arts, I can make knives that I think would be better suited, in my opinion, for those factions, both from the inspiration standpoint and the style of combat that I imagine for those factions, because I have some idea how knife combat works and how different styles of knife combat work, because I have some martial arts experience and I have some experience in knife fighting. Of course, theoretical. I didn't knife fight for real. Okay, this would be too dangerous. The longer you train knife fighting and the more you know about knife fighting, the more you realize that real knife fighting isn't something that you want to be in, and this is a last resort thing. So yeah, if you can, this would be awesome if you could go to the comments section and tell me which style you would like more if you want me to make one infinity knife after another, or do you want me to make positions on those knives and on those factions? And back to talking about grinding. The 40 grit is the highest grit I'm working with. Some people work with 36 grit, and I'm scared to do that. I will be frank with you. Because the higher grit you have, the more material the belt is taking all at once. So it's faster and it's harder to control. And you can see right here that I have these bumps. So it's not perfect, and I'm pretty pissed about that. But yeah, we will now go to the second side, and I've ground both sides pretty much up to the desired height before off camera, and now I'm trying to make it even, and this is going pretty well, and I'm correcting my mistakes, trying to go a bit higher, because there is a saying among knife makers that knife maker doesn't make mistakes, we just make higher bevels. So yeah, I made enough mistakes to make bevels about 5 millimeters higher in this knife. But this is not a game breaker. In the end, you have to remember that the higher the bevels are, the more acute the angle is at the cutting edge, and the better it cuts, and the better it goes into things that you cut. So this isn't bad. It's just further away from the project. If you remember the original concept art for the nomads, the bevels were pretty low. I think they were somewhere about 1.5 to 2 centimeters high. And to be frank, I wouldn't make such low bevels on a such big knife. And I'm using 4.5 millimeters thick material. So if this knife were mm, thinner, those bevels would make sense, but you need an acute angle to make the knife cut well, and I wanted to cut well because I wanted functional. So yeah, um, so this was a design choice, and this was me correcting my mistakes, going higher, but it turned out pretty damn great. You will see that in the end, and I encourage you to check out my Instagram page. The link to my Instagram page will be in the description, because I have a video of this knife after I ground the whole knife in 120 grit. I don't do this in this video. And here you can see me grinding. The tip of the blade has this line that is sweeping. This is something we call a drop point. This makes for a more, let's call it, aggressive tip of the blade. And I'm trying to make it match the blade. Oh yeah, and here on this side, on one side I did a pretty big mistake. And because of that mistake, I'm no longer going 40 grit. I will be changing to 80 grit sandpaper to correct my mistakes a bit higher, of course, because we didn't make mistakes. We just needed a higher bevel. So yeah, this is an 80 grit sandpaper, and I'm now going to make the bevel straight, nice, and even on the both sides of the blade. This needed a little bit of correcting, even when I finished the whole grinding that I had on tape, all of my footage. And yeah, as you can see, this is getting much better. And the other side, uh, just a few passes. I didn't cut too much from this footage, because the higher grit you go, the less material you have to take from the knife, and there are less things to do. And this commentary is pretty much going to an end. I hope that you enjoyed that style more than just a sound of the belt grinder. I know this was annoying, few of my friends told me that. And we'll go to my rambling post grinding. And yeah, I would like you to tell me, what style do you like the most?
Okay, so we are very close to finish, and we are finished with everything that will be on tape. So I will work with this one just a bit off camera, because what I noticed is this cutting edge, how much I left for the cutting edge, this is way too much. Okay, this is about 1.5 millimeters, so it should go to 0.32, something like that. No, maybe more with such a big knife. 1.4. Okay, I'm rambling, sorry. So I will go to the belt grinder, and the bevels are a little bit uneven. This one is practically finished, and this one needs to be about 1 millimeter more into the center. I'm sorry. So yeah, this is very good. I've had some problems with grinding, I have to say. Can you see this thing? It's not big, it's not a game breaker, but it doesn't look good, and I'm disappointed in myself. Well, that happens. And yeah, I will have to make this cut a little bit bigger up to here, because if you can see that, this cut for the bevel goes up to here, and I went up to here with the bevel. So those are, I don't know, 1 centimeter more, and we are done. So I will go on 80 grit to finish those, then I will take 120, and then I will have about 2 weeks of break from knife making as a whole, because I'm going to work while that happens. Oh, sorry, I just hit a gas bottle. So then 2 weeks of break from knife making. So in about 3 weeks, I think, I will have all the belts I need, because I want to go up to 500 grit before I heat treat this bad boy. And it is cool, isn't it? And then I will show you the video from heat treating. And when we heat treat, the funny part is that we are very, very, very close to finish, because all we need then is handle scales, and I will order them beforehand, so there will be no more breaks in the process. And I don't know, maybe in about 4 weeks, I think, this will be ready. It needs a sheath also, so I think I will have to take a lot of kydex to close this one, but it will be worth it. And yeah, this is coming along very nice. Thanks. Oh, one more thing. I'm having something on my neck. There is something on my neck, and this is a knife for one and only George Bruno. And today is Thursday. I will be sending it to him either tomorrow or on Monday, incoming Monday. So George, if you're watching this, get ready, because when you are watching this, it might probably be in the way across the ocean. And one more thing, I don't know if it's up already or if it will be up soon. I will have a proper thank you video for George Bruno very soon. I have some issues with audio video sync, so yeah, I think I will figure that out very soon, because I have all the footage I need. I just have to edit it a little bit and release it. Okay, English isn't very simple today. So yeah, thanks and bye bye.